My name is Van der Kerkhoff. Good afternoon or good evening. Throughout different speakers, there was, in my opinion, less attention, or only with Mr. Dalford at the very end, on working with the so-called normal colleagues within the firms where you try to include them. We did an inclusion of some Asperger's some 15 years ago, and according to my experience, was one of the crucial points. Is there a certain reason why you don't do that, or you didn't mention, or you think it should be avoided for some reasons? That's the question.
Okay, that is a question which is not only for Mr. Dalton, I think, but it is...
I didn't quite understand.
For the different speakers.
Okay, if I understand you correctly, and also for the members of the panel here, you felt that in several of the presentations there was not much attention for the problem that workers with AS can have in dealing with other colleagues.
That was not exactly the point, that normal colleagues could have in dealing with autistic or Asperger colleagues, and I think it was important, to my experience, to organize a forum where you could just talk with them, maybe together with the Asperger colleagues too, but focused on the so-called normal colleagues working in these organizations.
And do you refer to, let's say, the need for changing attitudes in normal workplaces?
For their questions, for changing attitude, for the problems they see, for the experience they make, where we can profit from. Yeah.
Okay. Who would like to react on that item? Mr. Dalford, you have, some experience with that particular aspect.
Well, I think it's not easy to get in contact with the other colleagues. The people with Asperger syndrome, I think they can profit if they learn how to deal with some bullying. They are affected in school in the few years. And I think the first thing is to help them to get that step, because in the institution, in the vocational training centers, there are about 300 to 400 youth with different kind of disabilities, and they cannot stand there without to get some help against bullying. And therefore we think, when he is trained in this way and he will take part in a social training program, he will be able to manage it in the open workplace. Better work, to take it better in the open work area.
Okay, now Siri, I think you also wanted to react on that. Please take the microphone.
Our experience is that sometimes when the regular workers, they feel that they really have to socialize with the people with Asperger. They want to integrate them, and it becomes very unnatural, and it becomes more of a pressure, actually. So my advice would be to, through maybe some supportive measures, that's at least what we do in Norway a lot, when you have people integrating into normal, ordinary firms. Part of our supportive labor market measures is to ease this transition and to work with both the disabled people and the regular workers. On the one side, you don't have to force yourself onto these people, when they're sitting down at the lunch table, you just ask them tons of questions, making it really scary for people with Asperger anyway. And then at the same time, not to totally exclude them. So it's a balance, and I think again, this sort of transition period can take a while. And I think you just sort of have to take the time and have the right measures, either by appointing people at work to be the, how do you call it, negotiator between the two groups.
I would absolutely agree that you have to take care about the balance and you have to avoid the pressure. I absolutely agree, and I was wondering if that is the reason that you didn't tell about that, not to create pressure. But on the other hand, I still think that it is an important point to focus on.
Yeah. Well, when I talked about work adaptations and this new interview tool called EVAS, that is one very important thing that we do try to gather information about so that we can do the necessary work adaptations when they're in the transition period of going into the normal, ordinary job and the other workers that are there.
Okay. Anybody else? Any comments on this at the moment? Or shall we take the second question? Now the microphone has arrived. The lady over there in the second row was first, and then we move to the gentleman. No, just one at a time, please. Yes, please go ahead.
Buongiorno, in italiano.
Sì.
Volevo sapere, rispetto ai programmi che abbiamo sentito, Norvegia, Svezia, Germania, perché la situazione in Italia la conosco, quanti di questi programmi sono stati pensati, quindi progettati, anche con l'apporto delle associazioni delle famiglie? E quanti di questi programmi, mi sembra tutti, abbiano al loro interno comunque l'apporto di enti statali, quindi sulla formazione, sul lavoro. Grazie.
Okay, I think that's a very straightforward question. And so two aspects which were designed with the involvement of associations of parents and which benefited from other public support. Shall we start from my left-hand side right away? Norway, or would you... Oh, well, Flanders was the first, but...
I missed the beginning of the question.
Well, my understanding was that there was a double aspect. One, how many of these programs or projects were designed with the involvement of parents' associations? And then the second aspect, who benefited from public support, public funding for these projects. Now, let me, to simplify the thing, is there, apart from the last cooperative, which is of course a very different example, but in any of these four projects, is there any that does not benefit from public funding? Okay, so the second part of your question is answered immediately. So let's concentrate then on the first part, the role of parents' associations.
Well, as a parents' association, we were we really wanted to know much more about work. I want to specify we are not government funded. We only receive like a little 10% of public funding, but we wanted to know anyway. So we had a project with a little subsidy for the project of Belgian fund. We did a questionnaire with the help of parents and of people with autism. We support the groups of adults with autism as a parents association, so we do have their mail addresses and postal addresses, and that's the reason why we could have our questionnaire so widely spread quickly, and that we had such a good response, in fact.
Yeah, okay. Anna.
Okay, we in the SATSA project, we have the contact with the parents when it's needed and when the client wants us to take contact. Because they are adults over 18 years, so they have to decide it for themselves.
Yeah, okay. Germany?
Well, in the 90s, I tried to establish the vocational training of people with autism in the BBW, and in 2002 and 2003 we cooperated with the parents, and so we could get some support and grant by the Federal Ministry of Labor in Germany.
Okay. Norway?
Yeah. If you're talking officially, aside from Richard Nilsson, who I was talking about, who is a co-owner of the firm that is cooperating with us, He was, at one point in time, the head of the local autism, the national, the National Association for Autism. But other than that, we don't have any organized contact with the parents or any parent groups.
Luca, excuse me, but I assumed that your cooperative does not get any funding, public subsidy. Is that correct? And I also, well, about the role of the Parents Association, I could imagine also that that is not something very important in your cooperative.
Yeah, there's a role of Parents Association because, Group Asperger is a Parents Association in part because it's composed mainly by parents, but not just the parents, but also professionals and so on. There's no any economic financial role. There is just maybe something that pushes us to think, to try to implement something that parents want for the sons and daughters. Ideas come from parents, but maybe they should and they can do more, take initiative to help us doing projects.
Okay.